Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Bree and I am the writer and creator of the OT Latina blog. So for today's video, I wanted to share everything about how I got into OT school. I will be sharing my stats, so that will include things like my GPA, my shadowing hours, my volunteer experience, what my major was in undergrad, and then also some tips on how to write a personal statement. I remember how overwhelming it felt when I was applying to OT school. So I was constantly Googling things like, what should my GPA be and how many shadowing hours should I have? So I hope that sharing my stats will give you a little bit of guidance and also give you some encouragement. Okay, let's start with grades first because I know this can make everyone a little nervous. So my overall undergraduate GPA was a 3.4 and my prerequisite GPA was a 3.5. So if you don't have a 4.0, that is totally okay. A lot of OT schools are just looking at your application as a whole, not just your GPA. So if you're stronger in other areas, you can absolutely stand out. So just a quick tip, make sure you know what courses you need for prerequisites because schools can differ. And honestly, I do think OT schools look more at your prerequisite GPA versus your overall undergraduate GPA. Okay, next, what was my major in undergrad? I was an exercise science major with a focus in biology. Some other majors that I would recommend would be kinesiology, psychology, and rehab. But to be honest, your major in undergrad doesn't really matter too much because what they're really looking for are those prerequisite courses. I do think, however, that my major in exercise science really helped me during my time in OT school. There's just a lot of foundational knowledge that I gained in being an exercise science major. We really focused on anatomy and physiology. So, stepping into OT school, all of that seemed very familiar to me and I felt very comfortable with it. Okay, so next let's talk shadowing hours. So, in total, I had over 200 hours in 2 different settings. I made sure to include both pediatric and adult settings. For peds, I shadowed at a private outpatient clinic, and then for adults, I shadowed at an orthopedic clinic for adults, which those two were totally different vibes. So therapy was completed totally differently in both settings. So I do think it's wise to go get your shadowing hours in a variety of settings just so that you have a good idea of what OT entails. I also kept a log of my shadowing hours. So I just printed like a little logbook from Google. And every time that I would go in, I would sign in and then I would sign out. And at the end of the day, I would have the supervising OT sign it off. And I did that because when you are submitting your OT school application, they will more than likely ask you for proof. So yeah, just getting enough shadowing hours where you can totally understand the profession. So I think 200 is a good amount. Okay, so next topic, let's talk about volunteer work. So besides shadowing, I did do a lot of volunteering. So I volunteered a lot with Special Olympics, which they are very easy to volunteer for. So I definitely recommend working with them. I would help out at some local health fairs, and a lot of those were coordinated through my university. And another thing that I think that helped me really stand out on my OT school application was that I volunteered as a research assistant for the kinesiology department. So I do know that in OT school, they are trying to push for as much research as possible. So having that under my belt really helped me stand out on my application. That's just a recommendation for you, but of course you choose where you want to volunteer. As far as how many volunteer hours I had, I did the same thing where I printed out that log and then I would clock myself in, clock myself out, and then I would have someone sign off. So yeah, even if your volunteer experience isn't directly related to OT, it's always great to see on an application because it shows that you are a part of your community and you are willing to help. Now let's talk about your personal statement. Now, your personal statement is arguably the most important part of your OT school application. So, very first personal statement tip is do not be too wordy, be concise, and try to keep it to 1 page front and back. So yeah, I made sure that my personal statement wasn't too wordy and I made sure that every paragraph had a purpose. So here's how I broke it down. First, you have your introduction where you include a short hook and your statement of purpose. Next, you're going to talk about why you chose OT. So this is where you're going to put what drew you to OT, your passion, and your motivation. So you'll also want to include a personal story in your statement. And this is just where you talk about a meaningful experience that led you to pursue OT. Now, for your personal story, please don't make your whole personal statement about your personal experience. Give a small antidote, maybe make it like 1 paragraph in your statement. You don't want to write a whole sob story for your personal statement. That is something that I was very conscious about not doing. What I decided to focus on in my statement was my potential in being an OT. Now, I don't want to sound too harsh when I say to not write a whole sob story in your statement. You just don't want to get fixated too much on one topic, because ultimately what they want to see is how diverse your writing can be, and also how concise and clearly you can state your goals and your intentions. Okay, next you would talk about your career goals. So in this section, you would talk about where you see yourself in the profession within like the next 5 years. So do you plan on working in pediatrics? Are you more interested in adults? If so, what setting? They want to see that you have a plan for your future, so definitely include this section. Next, you would include your academic background. So in this section, this would include things like research experience, any relevant coursework, and any academic achievements. Like I mentioned before, I was heavily involved in research during my undergrad, so I did highlight that a lot in my personal statement. But whatever you think sticks out the most about you during your academic career, put it in this section. So one of the last topics you would include in your statement would be your areas of interest. So when I applied to OT school, I was very drawn to assistive technology. So I included that in my area of interest. So assistive technology was something that I really wanted to explore, and OT school would give me the opportunity to explore that. In my personal statement, I did talk a lot about my cultural background. I highlighted that I truly wanted to provide culturally competent care to my future clients. I also think that helped me stick out a little bit more. So really just do a lot of reflection and pull out those best parts of yourself. Another quick tip, don't just say that you want to help people, show them how you want to help people. Show them why you want to help people. What experiences have led you to this point? And how will your experiences help you become a really great occupational therapist? One last tip, if you are planning to apply to the program at your current university, I would start joining some pre-OT club meetings. This is great for networking and getting to know the professors in the program. Every time that you go to one of those meetings, the professors are going to remember you. And so when they're looking through OT applications and your name pops up, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I remember her or him from the pre-OT club meeting. It's just going to solidify that you're interested and passionate about the career. So those are all of my stats. I hope that you found this video helpful. I know applying to OT school is scary and you're super nervous about it, but take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. If you're passionate, prepared, and determined, then you will get through this. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I am so excited for y'all to start this journey. Let me know in the comments what schools you'll be applying to. And also feel free to let me know what you're most nervous about. There are more videos to come to help you on this journey, so I will see y'all next time. Bye.